Hello everyone, my name is Alberto, welcome back to my channel. In this video we're going to talk about pintucks. Pintucks are usually found on shirts and dresses. There's a way to make them with a sewing machine and a double needle, but today I'm going to show you how to make them the old-fashioned way. So I'm going to start with a piece of, this is a simple cotton muslin, the one you use for patterns. I'm just going to iron it very quickly in order to make it usable. What you want to do once you have your piece of fabric is to take a fabric chalk or fabric pencil, something like that, something that cancels and erases from the fabric, and a random ruler, and then you're going to establish the distance between your pintucks. In my case, I did 3 centimeters, which is about 1¼ of an inch. But this is totally up to you. It is simply for an aesthetic reason, so you can do them more far away or closer together. This again doesn't really matter to the technique itself. It's just how you like them or how you want them to look. So in this case, I made a random number of lines just to show you, but obviously depending on your piece, you're gonna decide specifically how many you want, how big or small you want them to be. Normally pintucks are not made on already cut pieces. Just for ease, it's easier to make them on a whole piece of fabric and then use that to cut your collars or bib parts of the shirts, just again simply because it's easier. Once you've done your lines, you're going to use them as a guide to fold your fabric, and you're going to block the fold in place with an iron. This is very simple. You want ideally your line to be on the exact edge of the fold, not on one side. This is exactly where your line is or was in my case, because again, if you use a fabric chalk or something like that, it should disappear. You don't want the mark to be seen at all, and that way you're gonna go on and iron all your pleats, and this will create the guideline for your pintucks. As you can see, you have all these raised folds. And this way you'll go on, you'll do your whole piece of fabric. Very easy. Just take, some time. Make sure to make them as precise and even as possible, because the beauty of the pintucks is if they look perfect. So take a little more time, a little extra time, make sure they're accurate. This is the base for your pintucks. Once you've done that, you're going to move on to the sewing machine. You're going to have your thread in the same matching color, and I use these lines on next to the foot of the machine to decide the length, the width of my pintucks. You can use the side of the foot of the machine. You can use a specific guide if you prefer, and you're just gonna fold on one of these folds, go on and stitch it closed. Again, you want to use a small stitch, and the pintuck itself to me looks prettier when it's quite small, and ideally close together. But again, this is all sort of a design thing, so you can make them a bit wider if you want, and more or less spaced out between them. When you go on to make the other ones, you might find it easier to flip your piece of fabric. This is because once they're sewn, the pintucks are kind of raised, so having them underneath might be a little tricky. So you could just simply flip your piece of fabric. It doesn't really matter at all because we're using a straight stitch, so it's the same either side. And this way you're just gonna go on, fold all of them, making sure once you are sewing, accompany the fabric with your finger. That way you make sure that it's nice and stuck in place. It doesn't move, so you don't have sort of crooked lines, because that wouldn't be very pretty. And then you go on and you do all your folds, how many you have to make. If you're doing a big piece before cutting or something like that, you might have to make quite a few of these. Remember also that the pleats obviously make your piece of fabric smaller because you're going to take away at the fabric. And this is how it looks right after sewing. You have all these raised lines, and in the back it looks quite nice and clean. Normally Pintucks are all ironed together in the same direction, so we're gonna do that today. You just simply want to convince them gently to go in another direction, and if you're having some trouble with the fabric underneath kind of folding under the pleats, which is not very pretty, you might want to slightly pull. Be gentle because you don't want to stretch it, but just gently pull as you're folding the pleats in the same direction, and that way you're gonna have a super clean finish, and back is going to be very, very, very nice. So that's it, really. You're just going to fold everything in the same direction. This is the back, this is the front, and that's it. It's quite easy. So yeah. Oh, this is how it looks up close. Hope you can see. And yeah, I hope you liked the video. It was useful for you. It was requested, so I hope it was useful to the person who did request it. Please leave a like and subscribe. It's a great help for me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, have a great day.